Hey, what's going on, guys? Drum Gaming here, back in another video. Today's episode, we're taking a look at the Season 11 Evade Spiritborn Leveling Guide. If you click the link in the description of this video, it'll take you right out to this sort of write-up that we have, and then you can click this link here, and this will take you out to Diablo 4 Planner, which has like the skills and the talents and all that good stuff. But we'll cover it all in this video. This write-up is just meant to complement this link up here. So this build is pretty fun. It's quite literally you're spamming Evade. That's what's called the Evade Spiritborn Leveling Guide. And this is going to be built around your Storm Feathers, which actually comes from the Eagle Primary Spirit Hall. We can take a look at that right here. So casting an Eagle skill grants 4 seconds of Storm Feathers movement speed bonus when you evade, filling up to 8 Storm Feathers for every remaining second, each dealing 125% lightning damage and making targets vulnerable for 5 seconds. So you'll be able to unlock this at level 15, and once you get to level 15, that won't take long at all. You'll be able to evade spam your way through the levels. Let's go down and talk about some of the pros and cons. So you don't need any sort of special aspects or uniques to run this build. It's very fast leveling. It's very mobile, right? We're spamming our evade, so by default, it's kind of mobile. And this also goes into the evade in-game build. There's an in-game build for this as well. So very cookie cutter. It's a very straightforward build. There's, again, no special setup that you have to have. There is something called evade weaving, though, that will feel a little bit odd until you get used to it. We actually have a complete section on that down below, so we'll get to that when we get to it. And then it's pretty high APM. And some might say it can even get a little bit boring, just kind of spamming the same thing over and over. But, you know, it gets the job done, and I think that's why most of us are looking up a leveling build, because we're putting most of our time into an in-game build in reality. So not really something I'd worry about. So we talked about level 15. So before level 15, you'll be running a Thunder Spike, Quill Volley, Ravager, and Armored Hide. So the reason that we use Thunder Spike early, we got kind of a couple senses on this. Every third cast of this is going to reset your cooldown. So this is going to kind of prep you for the game style or the gameplay loop that you're going to be doing at level 15, just a little bit slower in this case. Quill Volley is going to be kind of your AoE nuke, and then Ravager is going to give us ferocity stacks as well as attack speed. So you're not going to be here for very long. Once you hit level 15, you're going to be able to unlock your EMH, your Eagle main hall, and you'll be going for the Eagle Primary Spirit Hall. Now, if you've already unlocked this before, there is a small quest that you will have to unlock your Spirit Hall with. If you've already done that, then you've already got your Spirit Halls. You'll be good to go. And yeah, just make sure you go and activate that Spirit Hall and set it to Eagle, and then that's where we'll get into this evade weaving that we talked about earlier. So it's quite literally this. Thunder Spike, evade. And you can hold down Shift to keep your position. So, you know, it'd be Shift, then most people have evade on their spacebar, right? And you can put Thunder Spike on 1, for example. Or you can put it on your left click, and you could just left click, spacebar, over and over and over. Now, where all this speed is coming from, if we go back to our Spirit Hall here, whenever we cast an Eagle skill, right, which is that Thunder Spike, we're going to get Storm Feathers movement speed bonus. So it's like a charge system. You're building this up, and then whenever we cast evade, you're going to fling up to 8 of those Storm Feathers out for damage, and you're going to mark the target as vulnerable. So really what we're after is this effect. We're at the movement speed bonus, we're at the vulnerable effect, and we want the burst damage from the Storm Feathers. So that's kind of the rhythm that you're going for here. At level 15 plus, so what you can do is you can actually drop your Thunder Spike down to rank 1. We can kind of take a look. We'll go over this tree here in just a second, but you can kind of see Thunder Spike rank 1, and we want to keep accelerated Thunder Spike. That's going to apply vulnerable to our enemies, and most of our damage is not actually coming from Thunder Spike. It's coming from these Storm Feathers here. That's why I put less points into it. Whereas before you get your Spirit Hall, right, most of your damage is coming from Thunder Spike. That's why you want 5 points in it. So that will change. You'll want to keep your Armor Hide on cooldown. This is going to make us unstoppable. It's going to grant us something called Resolve. Resolve, long story short, just kind of makes you very tanky. It is unique to Spiritborn. We also have Rock Splitter. I don't have the links here for some reason, but we have Rock Splitter as well right here. And you put 3 points into this, and we're really just using these points to advance the tree. And you're going to go all the way down here. And this is when we kind of get to some of the good stuff, like our Vortex and our Ravager. Now, one talent you do not want to skip out here is something called Mirage. So gain 60% increased dodge chance when casting Evade. Whenever you dodge, you gain 50% critical strike chance for 3 seconds. So that is very important. Make sure you do not skip out on that. Another thing too is on Rock Splitter, I did forget to mention this. You want to leave this on your skill bar. And the reason for that is for something here called Resilient. So right here, for each base Gorilla skill on your action bar, gain 4.5% max life, knockdown duration, and barrier generation. So even though we don't use it, it is still on our bars. Kind of like we said, we're putting a point into Vortex. This is essentially going to group the mobs for us. It pulls all the mobs around you into a tight pack right in front of you so you can nuke them down very quickly. And then we want to make sure that we're taking measured vortex because this is going to give you a knockdown effect if we have our barrier. We're going for Ravager as well for ferocity. If you don't know, ferocity increases our attack speed of stacks up to 4 times and increased by 5% per stack. And yeah, that's kind of the start of the tree. Let's go ahead and go back to our write-up here. So level 30, you're going to get your second Spirit Hall. So we want to unlock the Gorilla Spirit Hall at level 30. And the reason for this is because this is going to give us permanent unstoppable. And this is important because in our tree, we take something called unrestrained power. Here it is. So you deal 12% increased damage while unhindered or unstoppable. So since you're permanently unstoppable, we just get a flat 12% increased damage. And then you also want to put 3 points here into Auspicious here. This is what's going to give us Barrier. That's going to be based off your max life. So stacking max life is really strong. Moving down a little bit further, we're putting 3 points into Brilliance. So Eagle skill damage increased by 9% of your movement speed. We're very fast in this build, so complements the Eagle Spirit Tree very well. Or excuse me, the Eagle Spirit Hall. And then we also have Acceleration. This is going to give us additional evade charges. And just works with evade, just works with this build very well. Every time we use an evade or mobility skill, we get 24% increased damage. Now, moving on to our ultimate skill, we're going to go the Devourer. We can see right here in the guide at level 40, we get our ultimate. And the reason for this is because this plays around something called Supremacy. So enemies that you kill while an ultimate skill is active grants a stack of Supremacy. Each increases your damage by 1% up to 10%. When an ultimate skill ends, you gain 5 stacks of Supremacy, but you begin to lose 1 stack every second. So if you wonder where Supremacy is on our tree, it's over here on the very left-hand side. And then we also have Vital Strikes here. So you deal 100% increased damage to vulnerable enemies. So very, very important that we are applying vulnerable. Like we talked about earlier, we do that already through Thundering Strikes. And then our Eagle Spirit Hall also applies vulnerable as well. And then I almost forgot about intricacy here. So upon casting an ultimate skill, the last different potency, defensive, or focus skill you cast prior is reset and can be cast for free up to 3 times in the next 7 seconds. So what this means is if Armored Hide is the button that we press before our ultimate, we get 3 free charges on Armored Hide, which honestly means we do not have to worry about the cooldown on our Armored Hide, and it makes this build permanently tanky. Just make sure that the skill that you cast before your ultimate, the Devourer, is Armored Hide. That's sort of the key thing there. And we got kind of a section here that talks about that in the guide. We pretty much talked about all this already. There's a little something on aspects, but we'll talk about that here in a minute. And at this point, once you get your ultimate level 40, you could probably move up to Penient difficulty, but really what matters more than anything is just that you're one-shotting mobs. If you're not one-shotting mobs, do not increase the difficulty. Clear speed matters way more than difficulty bonus and the XP bonus that you get by increasing difficulty. And your main goal is to get to Torment 1 as quickly as you possibly can. And then from there, you can start to transition into more of an in-game build. So let's talk about some different aspects that you can actually run on this. So like we talked about a little bit earlier in the guide, there's something called Aspect of Retribution. So distant enemies have a 10% chance to be stunned for 2 seconds when they hit you, and you deal 15-35% increased damage to stunned or knocked down enemies. That's where that barrier comes into play. That's where that vortex comes into play because it will knock them down for us. So big burst of damage on our vortex. Aspect of Disobedience, you gain increased armor for 4 seconds when you deal any form of damage. Stacking effect. Aspect of Haste, every second while moving, gain a movement speed bonus for 1.5 seconds. Again, more movement speed in this build means more damage. And then Aspect of Might, basic skills get 20% damage reduction for so many seconds. And again, that basic skill is our Thunder Spike. And then, you can go through these aspects yourself. I'm not going to talk about every single one of them, but we got Unyielding Hits, Redirected Force, Conceited Aspect, Vehement Brawler's Aspect, Aspect of Alacrity, Aspect of Lair Wards, Hectic Aspect, and Aspect of the Crowded Sage. All of these are focused on damage reduction, movement speed, or just flat damage increases. A couple uniques here. This first one, I'm not even going to try to pronounce this. So this will give us rank to our Supremacy if you can pick this up, really strong. And then casting our ultimate skill grants or amplifies your primary Spirit Hall bonus for 200-300% potency for 15 seconds. So huge boost to our Spirit Hall. If you pick this up, you pretty much hit the lottery. And then it also has an effect that the attacks reduce our ultimate cooldown by 0.5 second. So really strong there. We also have Jakith's Shell. It gives us armor, damage reduction, and spending our Vigor is going to heal us for a max life. And then every second, your active cooldowns each drain 10% max life from you to reduce their duration by 2 seconds. So you get a ton of CDR, and the health drain is actually offset by the Vigor that you're spending to heal yourself, so you don't have to worry about that too much. And then also Loyalty's Mantle. So you can actually double up on your Spirit Hull. They can both be Eagle if you want, if you do end up running across this item. And if they're both Eagle, it's going to make their bonuses 100% more potent. Cast Evade, we get 75 offering, and then we spend that offering on TUN. In terms of our runes, we're going to be going Sim and Ton. So this is an evade-based build, so Sim just makes sense. And then Ton here is going to drop stun grenades, essentially. And these will actually proc our Retribution aspect. So if you remember from earlier, you deal increased damage to stunned or knocked down enemies. So makes sense. We also have Sir and Gar. So Sir here casts 5 skills, then become exhausted for 3 seconds. And then Gar here just a stacking critical strike chance up to 25%. And then yeah, we got a section on mercenaries and whatnot, but overall, this is what your final build is going to be looking like. You can see we got Armored Hide, the Vortex, the Ravager, Rock Splitter on our bars, Ultimate the Devourer, and then Thunder Spike, being that main basic. And then you see that we're running Eagle and Gorilla. You can run double Eagle again if you get the correct unique for it. In your jewelry, you'll want Resist All Elements. In your weapon, you'll want Vulnerable Damage on your gems. You can put your runes in your helmet and your chest, and then you can run double dexterity in your pants. All right, guys, I think that's pretty much it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please consider liking and subscribing. See you guys in the next one.